Okay, let's dive straight into this explainer. We're unpacking one of the absolute most fascinating intellectual mysteries in the history of economics. It's a puzzle that goes right to the core of human behavior, and honestly, it makes us completely rethink how we assign worth to everything around us.
So here is the ultimate question. Would you rather have all the world's water or all the world's diamonds? It's a bit of a mental trap, right? Because if I offered you that choice today, obviously you're taking the water. Without water, humanity is gone in a matter of days. Diamonds? Sure, they're pretty, but completely useless for actual survival. And yet, this exact logical disconnect stumped massive thinkers, from Copernicus and Plato all the way down to Adam Smith and Karl Marx. Why in the world do we pay fortunes for shiny little rocks while paying practically nothing for the very liquid keeping us alive?
To figure this out, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, the diamond water paradox. Second, use value versus exchange value. Third, the marginal revolution. Fourth, diminishing marginal utility. And finally, solving the paradox.
Section 1. The Diamond Water Paradox.
Let's start with the core contradiction that drove the father of modern economics, Adam Smith, absolutely crazy in 1776. Think about water. It is utterly essential for life. There's literally nothing more fundamentally useful to us. Yet, it commands an incredibly low market price. You can hardly trade a bucket of water for anything. Now look at diamonds. They serve essentially no vital purpose at all. They're just decoration. But they command a massive market price. To those early economists, this massive split between life-saving necessity and market price seemed totally irrational.
Section 2. Use value versus exchange value. To find our first real clue, we absolutely have to contrast two totally different types of value. First up is use value. Adam Smith noticed that water has enormous use value because our lives literally depend on it. Use value is all about direct utility. It's the importance a good has simply because it fulfills a basic human need. Like, if you're an isolated hunter and you catch a bear, that bear skin has immense use value because it directly keeps you from freezing to death.
But you have to contrast that with exchange value. This is where diamonds dominate. Exchange value is all about purchasing power. It's your ability to trade an object in the market to acquire massive quantities of other things. A diamond doesn't have much practical use, sure, but it gives you immense power to buy other goods. So our paradox is really this huge clash between a good's life-saving use value and its wealth-generating exchange value.
For a long time, classical economists tried to solve this clash by pointing to labor. The labor theory of value basically argued that a diamond is worth more than water just because of the massive physical effort and time it takes to dig it out of the ground, compared to water, which is pretty easy to scoop up. But as we're going to see, relying on objective labor costs was a total false lead. It completely missed how real humans actually behave.
Section 3. The Marginal Revolution.
It is actually wild how long this puzzle sat unsolved. Almost a full century passed after Adam Smith published in 1776. Even Karl Marx in 1867 was still entirely hung up on the labor theory of value. It wasn't until the 1870s, when thinkers like Jevons, Walras, and Carl Menger came along, that we finally got a real breakthrough.
Let's focus on Carl Menger. His 1871 text, Principles of Economics, totally flipped the script. Instead of relying on abstract math, he looked at real people. He wanted to know how humans make purposeful choices every day to improve their own lives. He realized that classical thinkers were completely missing the vital element of human desire.
This triggered a monumental paradigm shift: the subjective theory of value. Menger argued that value isn't an inherent property of an object. A diamond does not have objective worth magically baked into its atoms just because someone worked hard to mine it. No, value is entirely subjective. It's a state of mind based purely on how we perceive something will satisfy our individual needs. We literally create value just by wanting things.
Section 4. Diminishing marginal utility.
Okay, so how do we calculate this subjective value in our heads? Well, here is exactly where Adam Smith went wrong. We never actually choose between all the water in the world and all the diamonds in the world. We deal with individual, discrete units. We're constantly evaluating the worth of just one additional unit of a good. In economics, this is called making choices on the margin.
Think about this classic example from economist Eugene von Böhmerbach. Imagine a pioneer farmer who just harvested 5 sacks of grain. She doesn't value every sack the same. That first sack, that's her food. It's essential for survival. The second one maintains her health and feeds her livestock. The third sack might be used to distill some liquor for fun. And if she has a 5th sack lying around, she might just toss the grain out to feed the wild birds. If she loses one sack, she doesn't starve. She just stops feeding the birds. She values that single sack exactly at the level of her least urgent need.
Let's bring this into your daily life. Imagine you are absolutely starving, you are craving a cheeseburger. Because your need is so urgent, that first burger is going to give you massive utility. You'd probably happily hand over $10 for it, without thinking twice, right?
But what happens after you eat it? Your intense hunger is pretty much gone. If they offer you a second burger, you're definitely not going to pay $10 for it. The satisfaction is way lower now. You'd probably only buy it if the price dropped down to, say, $5. That right there is the law of diminishing marginal utility. The more you consume, the less satisfaction you get from every extra unit.
Section 5. Solving the Paradox.
So let's finally crack this century-old mystery. Here is the big reveal. Water is naturally abundant in our everyday lives. Because we have so much of it, our most vital needs, like drinking and washing, are totally met. So the marginal utility of the very next cup of water is basically zero. We just let it run down the drain. Diamonds, though, are incredibly rare. Almost no one has a massive pile of them, so the desire for just one extra diamond feels super urgent. The market price reflects the value of that next marginal unit, not the overall historical usefulness of the good itself.
And just to prove that this is entirely subjective, think about a desert island. A traveler stranded in the scorching heat has zero water. Suddenly, the marginal utility of a single canteen of water is literally life or death. In that specific context, they would instantly trade a giant chest full of rare diamonds for just one drink of water. The exchange value completely flips because the subjective human context changed.
The diamond-water paradox is such a great reminder that value isn't hardwired into the universe. It is a dynamic, constantly shifting reflection of our own desires and our current circumstances. So I'll leave you with this as we wrap up this explainer. As you look around at what you buy every day, if value is totally subjective, what else in our world is priced purely on our perception rather than any objective reality? Thanks for diving into this with me.